everyone, and welcome to the Healthy Living Happy Life podcast, the podcast that helps women to navigate midlife, menopause, rediscover who they are, and create their best life yet. I'm Denise Stiegel, and I am so glad you are here. Now, today, I'm going to talk about a subject that's going to make some people uncomfortable. I'm really hoping my mother doesn't listen to this because that's actually thinking about that is making me uncomfortable. But what I want to talk about today is intimacy. You all thought I was going to say sex, right? Nope, they go together. But today I want to talk about intimacy, which is not just about that physical connection. It is about being deeply seen and valued and understood. It's about a bond that we share with ourselves, first and foremost, and the people who matter the most to us, right? But what happens as we're navigating midlife, menopause, all of the stuff that comes with that, right? Intimacy is going to naturally evolve. It does change. What felt once upon a time really effortless may actually need a little bit more attention nowadays, right? But that's okay. This actually offers us a new opportunity to actually deepen connections and in even more meaningful and fulfilling ways. Now, of course, we have intimacy with ourselves, intimacy with our partners or our spouses, and that intimacy with our friends and our loved ones. Obviously, all a little different, but still, it is about connection, right? So today we're going to explore how intimacy shifts during midlife, what changes occur, because we know there's a lot happening, and how we can embrace this evolution, if you will, with confidence and clarity and excitement. Yes, we want to be excited about this, right? Okay, so what is intimacy really? Again, it's more than that physical closeness. It is more, it is that about emotional, I can't even say the word, emotional security. It's about trust and vulnerability. That actually takes different forms. There's emotional intimacy, where you feel safe sharing your dreams and your worries, your truths without fear of judgment, judging yourself or others judging you, right? Physical intimacy, touch, affection, sensuality, whether that's a passionate embrace with your lover or simply holding hands. Intellectual intimacy. Here's an interesting one, right? Sharing ideas, engaging in deep conversations, and stimulating discussions. We really struggle with this nowadays, not just in midlife and menopause, but in the time of that we are living. We don't have conversations. We don't have discussions. We shy away from them because we're afraid of arguments and we're afraid of insulting people or feeling embarrassed, whatever that may be. But this is an important part of intimacy, is being able to share our thoughts and our feelings and have these deep conversations. It's one of the reasons why I started the Menopause Wellness Series. It's a once a month event. So I invite women to join and let's have those conversations. Let's talk about intimacy and what's going on or not going on, right? And how do we help each other, move forward in a really positive way that uplifts not just the person who may be struggling, but all of us collectively. And then, of course, there is spiritual intimacy. Well, that's where you find common values and beliefs and purpose with someone you trust. And again, maybe that's just you. I have to sneeze. Nope, it went away. But spiritual intimacy is really an important piece. We talk mind, body, spirit, right? And spirituality does not mean religion. If that's where you go with it, that's totally fine. But for those of us who are not into a religion, spirituality comes in a different form, different forms for everybody. And so don't be afraid of that, right? So Dr. Karen Fields, who is a clinical psychologist, I read this recently. She says, intimacy isn't just about sex. It's about feeling truly seen. And in midlife, we begin to prioritize what makes us feel fulfilled. Ooh, that's important. What is making us feel fulfilled? It goes back to what I talked about last week a little bit about being pulled into things that you love to do, as opposed to being pushed to do things you don't want to do, right? Or aren't interested in. So how do you reconnect with yourself? I started by saying, when it comes to intimacy, a relationship with yourself really is that foundation. And many of us don't have this. I don't know why, as women, we tend to take care of everybody else, and then we come last if there's any time left in the day, if we have any energy, right? But truly, before we can create this deep intimacy with other people, we need to have it for ourselves, like within our own hearts. Um, and midlife is a powerful time for self reflection, self reinvention, self discovery. Again, in last week's podcast, I talked about how to get more of the things that light you up, that you're pulled to, instead of things that you've been pushed to do all for years that you are just not interested in. I pick on the PTA. Like, I remember when I was a kid, my mom was in the PTA, and I don't even know, she was always going to meetings. There was always something that they were doing, and that was great when we were in school, right? When we were out of school, they still kind of thought she would show up and be part of that. And initially, I think she kind of did, because she felt guilty, right? She'd been part of it for so long, but it no longer served her. So ask yourself this question: beyond your career, relationships, and responsibilities, what brings you joy? Who are you? Who is Denise? I think of myself, I am a creator, I am a writer, I am a free spirit, I'm a runner, I'm an auntie, I'm a damn good auntie. I mean, these are the things that I find the most important to me. I'm a great friend, I'm a true friend, I'm resilient, I'm a great wife. At least I hope my husband thinks so. But I think I'm a great wife. Like, all of these things, like this is who I feel that I am, and things that are really important to me. But ask yourself these questions, and what brings you joy? So OBGYN, Dr. Sarah Mitchell, she specializes in sexual health. And what she said in a recent article, self-intimacy is the foundation of any strong connection. Oh, excuse me. When you understand and embrace your own needs, desires, and boundaries, we talked about that a couple of times, um, you naturally create a space for more meaningful relationships. And again, intimacy doesn't necessarily mean sex, it means that connection with others. So having meaningful relationships is a big part of intimacy. Intimacy is having those connections and those relationships. So how do you reconnect with yourself? That all sounds great. Oh, great. I'm going to go reconnect with myself. Okay, whatever, Denise, what does that mean? Right? I'm sure half of you are going like, kind of like, okay, I don't know what to do then. Simplest thing to do: journal. I know everybody tells you, oh, write it down. But actually, journaling is really an amazing way to understand yourself. There are lots of journal prompts that you can find online. There are journals that have daily prompts. And those are really great if you're just starting to journal. And what I do with my journaling is, some days I just write a couple of things down, a couple of things that I'm grateful for, whatever it may be. And other days, and it just comes naturally, I just keep writing. And, 2, 3 pages later, I'm like, whoa, I guess I had a lot of things I had on my mind, things that I wanted to say to myself. But write it down. What are your thoughts? What are your desires? What are your emotions? Another way to reconnect with yourself is to take a trip, just you. Have you ever gone away for the weekend just by yourself? Ooh, scary, right? Probably haven't done that in a while, right? do something different. Find what might, you might find something new that excites you, right? If you've never gone to New York City to see a show, go to New York City and see a show. You don't need a whole entourage of people to do that. Actually, if you brought a whole entourage of people, it would cost you an arm and a leg. So going on your own actually is cost effective too. um, Practicing self care and self compassion. And self care, I mean more than let's take a bubble bath. Those are pretty good. But I mean more of making sure that you're eating right and that you're sleeping and that you're taking the time that you need to rejuvenate and to just relax and have your own time. Everybody needs a little me time. I think that's really important. And the self compassion piece, we're always striving for something. And if we don't reach whatever we're striving for, we're really hard on ourselves. Ladies, I know many of you I'm preaching to the choir when I say this, are perfectionists, right? I'm a recovering perfectionist. Really hard, but some days. And this is where self-compassion comes in. On those days where I'm not perfect, I'm never going to be perfect. I never was. I need to, give myself a break and say, you know what, you did really good. You tried really hard. For years, I tried to break, 2 hours for a half marathon, and I would come in like 2 hours in 1 minute, like forever. And I don't know what it was. There was something at some point, I had a little bit of a crump or a brain fart. I don't know. But when I thought about it, I just run a half marathon. A lot of people don't do that. Most people don't do that, right? So that self-compassion really actually made finishing the big deal, right? And then, of course, prioritizing activities that bring you joy. I mentioned another time, I love to dance. I haven't been in an official class or anything like that for years. So what I do now when I'm home cooking, whether I'm making lunch or making dinner, usually it's more dinner, I put on some music and I dance around my kitchen. I have a good old time. I'm sure if my husband laughs at me half the time because I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm having a good time doing it. When you tune into yourself, you exude this new confidence that you may have felt for a while, right? When you're kind of going through the motions, you don't always necessarily feel confident, like this confident you that you once were. Or you never were, but now all of a sudden you're feeling pretty darn good about yourself and your abilities. So when you feel this way, when you have this confidence in who you are and about what you love, making like intimacy with other people is effortless and truly fulfilling. And again, it could be those conversations with people. I mean, how many times you're sitting at a coffee shop and you start chit-chatting with somebody and all of a sudden you have a new best friend. We used to do that a lot more. That's something that I recommend to everyone. Just go make a new friend. So how we express intimacy in midlife, like how do we do that, right? When we're in our 20s and 30s, maybe even in early 40s, intimacy may have been mostly about passion and spontaneity. Remember those days? But now it takes on a deeper emotional meaning, focusing on the trust and the shared experiences. My husband and I have been married 20 years. So yes, there's still love and passion and all of that there. But is it the same as when we first met? Of course not. It's actually deeper. It's actually better because we have all of these shared experiences, all of these things. And I trust him and I feel comfortable with him. And truly it's the way now that we I guess nurture this intimacy. So how do we do that? Whether it's your partner, spouse, or other relationships. We express intimacy through the words we say. We express love to those in our circle, our family. Appreciation, admiration. How many times have you said to somebody that you admire, you're doing a great job. I really love what you do. Somebody recently gave me a great compliment, and I got to tell you, it made my day. So it made her feel good to tell me, but it made my day. We express intimacy through the actions that we take, small, meaningful gestures. Sometimes the big, grandiose ones, there's plenty of those, but it really is about those small actions. I love sending cards. I mean, I was at Walmart yesterday and I picked up um, Valentine's Day cards for the kids. The kids are 21 and 27. Okay, they're not little kids anymore, but I still love to send them. I send them a note just so they know that I'm thinking of them. Um, and that makes me feel good. That brings me joy. Obviously, through physical connection, whether you're with your spouse or partner, but just simple things, hugging each other, sitting on a couch, like, cuddling on a couch. I love to cuddle, holding hands. Sometimes, when somebody's having, a rough day, just, touching their hand and looking them in the eye and listening, right? Shared experiences through those shared experiences, which I mentioned a minute ago, like with my husband. We we've been everywhere, man. We love to travel. We're always going someplace different, trying something new, and creating, amazing memories. Now, yes, we do go to some of the same places, but every year we've tried to find someplace new that we've never been. It's really hard to find a place that he's never been because he's literally been everywhere, man. But even when we've gone to places where he's been in the past, doing it together, we create unique new memories that are special to us. So Dr. Emily Carter, who is a menopause specialist, she explains, and this is important here, as estrogen levels shift, libido drops, we know that, and our physical comfort when it comes to sex changes, right? But it doesn't mean that our intimacy has to suffer. This is so important. Open communication, and be proactive about solutions can make a world of difference in your relationship. Again, we know that intimacy and sex are connected when it comes to your spouse or your partner. And it's different as you get older, but it can still be great. Right. But communication is such a big part of that. If you're going through something and you're not telling your partner, how are they supposed to know? How can they help you? And how can you move forward together? Right. So obviously, we know estrogen levels are dipping. Libido is kind of like, ooh, sometimes it's on vacation. What's actually happening? We know hormonal shifts, drop in estrogen. What does that lead to? Oh, this is one of our favorites, right, ladies? Vaginal dryness and discomfort. Yuck, never fun. So solutions. I love to talk about solutions. Like, here's the problem, right? We got a solution. Moisturizers, lubricants. My bioidentical hormone therapy has worked wonders for me. Seriously, it's been life changing. Of course, we have emotional changes. Oh my God, we do, once when our hormones, especially when our hormones are not quite where they need to be, where they haven't quite been balanced. And this is really where, when mood swings are really up and down, this is something that is really important to talk with a professional, because that is not sustainable if you have really serious mood swings. But mood swings, stress, and shift. This is important. Shift in your self-image. When you look in the mirror, if you don't like what you see, that can absolutely impact the way you feel about being intimate with a partner, right? There's also things we can do about that, ladies. Okay. Yes, our bodies are changing. You're never going to look like you did when you were 20. Wouldn't be bad. But we can still be healthy. We can still be fit. We can still have muscle tone. We just need to make sure that we're exercising in the proper way and filling our bodies with the correct nutrition. The other thing I think is really important is the relationship dynamics. As I mentioned, Mark and I have been married for 21 years. And long-term relationships evolve. So sometimes you do need to find a new way to rekindle what was once, right? It's like there's a flame there, there's definitely a flame, but you want it to be a little flicker, or do you want it to be, a raging fire? We can still have a raging fire, ladies, right? Midlife intimacy it's not about recreating what was in the past, right? It is embracing where you are today, and then redefining what connection means to you, and that's authentic and fulfilling, and really that just feels right for you. Let's see. We talked about what's going on, how we express. What's important? What else is important that I wanted to talk about? Oh, wait, I know. Practical steps. We always want to have practical steps. Okay, great. How do we do this? Right? Just a couple of really simple things. And I talk about this all the time. One, because Mark and I are really good about this. Open communication. I mentioned this a couple minutes ago, right? Talk with your partner with what's working, what's changed, what your needs are, what's going on, right? If he doesn't or she doesn't know what's going on, they can't help you. And things are going to get stuck. And if once they get stuck and, nobody's talking about it, my fear always is, you're walking down a path and all of a sudden you're not communicating and you start walking down separate paths. We want to make sure that you continue to walk down the same path in your 50s and 60s and 70s and, well into our golden years, right? So open communication, so important. Prioritizing your well-being, right? Nourish your body, move in a way that feels good for you. I always say eat real food, right? Eat real food, make good decisions, be accountable, right? Those are three things that I have lived by. I have a book that's all I talk about in the book is those three things. Eat real food, make good decisions, and be accountable. You would be amazed if you followed those three principles, how amazing life will be, right? But again, it's about your well-being first and foremost, because if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't take care of others or others stuff that other people need. You just don't have the wheelhouse for. So take care of yourself. Seek out different forms of intimacy. Okay, now I'm getting a little bit uncomfortable with this one, right? Conversation, shared adventure, like go do someplace, go someplace to rekindle your connection, right? Sometimes having a conversation at home where you've lived for the last 20 years isn't really the place to, kind of make things happen again. Maybe it's taking a trip, a weekend trip or whatever it may be, right? Find something new that is exciting for both of you. And then, of course, as always, when you're struggling, seek support. There are menopause specialists, there are relationship coaches, there are longevity specialists like me. I'm not a doctor, but I have lots of support that I can give to women. And also when asked, I always give a referral to, I always refer people to a professional because this is, yes, a lot of this is in our minds, right? But so much of this is also physical, and we want to make sure that we are physically healthy in order to move forward. Because if something is physically wrong, then we need to correct that, and we need to make sure that our doctors and our medical professionals know what's going on so they can help us move forward, right? So yeah, okay, that last bit was a little uncomfortable for me. And I have these conversations a lot. Uh, Having this conversation to a camera sometimes is a little strange. But truly, if you are ready to navigate intimacy in midlife with confidence and clarity, join me for my monthly Hormones and Harmony Menopause Wellness series and learn. This is a great space for learning, for connecting, embracing this time of life. And you know what? Laughing too, because sometimes you just gotta laugh. If you're looking for more personalized guidance, please schedule a consultation with me. And let's explore some solutions tailored just to you. Remember, Intimacy isn't just about what it used to be, it's about what it can become. So let's make this stage of life the best we've ever lived. Thank you all for listening. If you have enjoyed this episode, please make sure you subscribe, leave me a review, and share it with a friend who needs to hear this. So until next time, I'll leave you with this: healthy living, happy life. Have a great day, everyone.